Wow. All right.
Yeah, he's a James too, ain't he?
Yeah.
So James and took the place over. He's James White. He told us back last, you were here last.
January.
All right, John, we ready to go ahead and start?
Yeah, right.
All right, so it is August 9th, 2019. We're at the Elaine Legacy Center in Elaine, Arkansas. My name is Paul Ortiz from the University of Florida, and we're here with Reverend James and Reverend Lamb. First of all, gentlemen, thank you so much for agreeing to be interviewed and taking your time to come in. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Reverend James, I wonder if you could start by telling us about something about what life was like where you were growing up, kind of where you grew up, something about the community, maybe the role of the church in the community and things like that.
Well, and me, Artic James, I grew up in Louisiana. Born in a place about maybe 175 miles out there in Louisiana called Lake Providence. Plantation on the Delta. Similar to what here, I was raised or brought up on a plantation in my time, good sized plantation. My mother and father, they was what they call sharecroppers. And that's what they did. When I was very small back in the time when she was living, they done cotton picking with their hands. And Mama would take care of the food and go out and give Daddy his food or go out there and feed him and come back and take us and keep us in the field with us so she have a baby stuff. And then when time come to go for cook lunch, she do the lunch. And after lunch and do a thing, go back to the field. So they didn't have kids big enough to help at that time when the farm was going on, because she died earlier. And then I worked on the farm, around until about, I don't know anything, I was on the farm in the 40s. And grew up to about 55 when we left the farm a while. But it's pretty well, in Louisiana, we had segregation, it was there when I left in 1957. Heating up pretty good, but when I come here, as a man about 19, a lot of the older people, his dad, and they was in and around here when I come. And a lot of the sisters that was here then, one of them was Mr. John Mara. He was, and his dad was involved. Then Mr. Senko was one of my members of the church. His daddy was a key figure involved, and his granddaddy. So we learned from talking to them some of the things that went on. But I didn't have any, in Arkansas, I didn't have any relationship there, but the Louisiana symbol.
Right.
Symbol. Got Woodhouse there left. So we always, in this area, about the same. We were farmers, working on a farm on our land. So now they had a farm like here. We had right across the Elaine there down in Lake Providence, down in Lake View. They had 75 homes there. While we come in Louisiana had the same thing, but the rest of it was farm workers like I was. They had drive tractors, so on, on the farm, and it was domestic.
Right.
And when I come here, it was complimental. I mean, it was getting along.
So, Reverend James, what role did the church play in your community when you were a young child?
Well, churches have always been pretty well what we folks do in the country, pastors, churches, and they usually had great influence. And some more political than others, but my pastorship, he was mainly a regular pastor when I got to know him, and I started pastoring about 42 years ago, where a lot of things have calmed down since then. But they always was the one the community could form around, great influence, get people together. And I guess when your leaders would come, they would always come to pastors pretty well, if there is anything going in the community. Because we meet at the church and have our business meetings. revivals, and other things we do. Most on weekend was about church. You know, that's our field that we was in. But on how Lumber come, we had churches, and around here, been here quite a while. It was about church. It was a big thing.
Okay.
If you want to get have anything, a meeting, it's mostly about church.
Were there community events or holidays or commemorations that were important growing up?
You talking about the holiday thing?
Well, yeah, it could be like emancipation celebrations, things like that.
Well, when I was going to school, we did it quite often. Grew pretty well with the leadership of all those things. You know, then here in Elaine, they had programs too, the school system in Elaine, and the Dutch school, whatever. They had teachers that would sponsor and have these programs in our system. But many churches that I was been involved, it wasn't too much out front when I come here about nothing but the revival. We good at that. We were good at community service, like in need of program raised for money. We were good at that, and pastoring. But at the time between 1957 or so, I don't know anybody in our area. They've been somewhere else. In Helen area was different than what down here. But we was on farms, like I am, under the farm hands, balls men or whatever. And it wasn't about too much of life out there. But Helen, it was a different story.
Why was that?
Elaine,
Okay.
Elaine, when I come here, was pretty well modern, you know. They had, you know, it was most all of us could get together for churches and singing programs and stuff like that. That mainly that I was acquainted with.
Okay. Reverend Lamb, can you talk about where you were from and what life was like when you were a young child growing up?
Yeah, I was born about 10 miles from here at Lambrook, and we owned 40 acres in the mule, as you heard about. So it was kind of different. A lot of times, you know, in my coming up, parents would be talking in one room, and you better not dare stick your head in that room where you get a lick or something. So there were certain things that, as coming up young, that you didn't get a chance to even hear or either, you know, get a chance to participate in. And things were kind of sheltered from us coming up. I was born in the 50s. And out of Lambrook, we just working on the farm, just then back at home, and church on Sunday. Parents didn't go, kids going. There was no exception.
You didn't have no choice. Right?
You had to go. You know?
It's going to be Sunday school and church.
It was not an option. It was
It's not an option.
compulsory.
Our parents were motivated that we tend to being able to please God. You get a chance to live a deal of life and keep out of trouble. Because now, you know, and see his setup, they owned the farm and managed the farm, and they had a different sort of life than I had. See, they were farm owners and their mamas and dads were managers.
Okay.
And that may be a different story there, but when you're under somebody else's farm, you're not managing much of nothing but your home.
Well, what were some of the differences between having someone, you know, owning your own farm and what kinds of crops and tell me more about that.
Well, see, his pal had a lot of responsibility because of the farm and what they was on, because you see, with more than one. It was a group of those kind of people, had 40 acres or so. And then they had, where I'm living now, that was one of the 75 farms over where I'm living now. But I didn't move there till about 20-some years ago. It was much of nothing then because everybody gone. And, you know, and sold for them out or whatever. But at the time when I come here, it was very prosperous. And, you know, they all had organizations and things to communicate. And I imagine with me, like when I come here, I was a $5 a day labor, $25 a week or so, depending on who you are. And if you was good, you might have a little bit better on your check, but you wasn't too good. That means if you wasn't talented or obedient or humble, you may not come up to that.
Right. Reverend Lamb, what types of crops did your family grow?
Mostly it was cotton when I was real young, and then a little bit later on, transitioned to cotton and soybean.
I mean, when did you start working as a young boy?
Ooh. Probably big enough that I started to walk, you had responsibility. And it just lasted, and you know, the older you got, the more responsibilities you got is coming up on the farm.
Mm-hmm. Walk me through like what a typical day was like say during maybe planting season or chopping season. Like what was your day like?
Well, back in those days, like I said, we had the mules, we didn't have the tractor, so you start out early in the morning, either getting the ground ready to plant or starting to plant. And my dad, I was too young. I always wanted to learn how to plant and cultivate and stuff. I thought. Because it seemed so easy when my dad was doing it and everything. I said, when I get big, I want to do that, you know, because it seemed like it was a lot of fun to be chopping.
Yeah, everything be chopping.
But when I got old enough to start doing it, oh man, I don't be chopping, you know. But every day you stop for lunch, and all you had to do was just, I think the animal knew when it was lunchtime, you could take them loose, they'd head to the house. You didn't have to worry about it. When it's time to come back and want to maybe a little bit later, then you can start over again.
Mm-hmm. What were your favorite things to do as children? And you've been talking about work, but what did you do to have fun? You know, playtime, or if you had.
Well, since I'm almost 15 years, that made me go back in the 40s when we was beginning out. You know, most of us in the rural. We went to a little church on Sunday, and that was our school through the week. You know, a lot of them, that's where they come up until round by where I live in Louisiana was 55 when they went to public school built up and all the church house school. When I come to Arkansas, we still had a house school. There's no church going there, but a house school called.
Right.
The company, they set churches around, so we didn't have to have a school in the church. So there was a house school there, probably until in the 60s, I think. We were on the farm, instead of like us walking to school, we could just get there a little quicker because it was shorter to go to that little house school and go way down from where we live, some about Elaine from Wabash. That was a long way to try to hitchhike or walk to school and didn't have no buses. When I come here to begin, the buses numbered up, and all the kids went to Elaine school and didn't have to go to house school. Because my children, back in 1958, they went to a house school right there on the plantation. And the teacher would come and stay on the area. And they have 3, 4, 5 classes in one room. But when I went to school, I went to what they call the city school. I had to walk a mile or two. But then when I moved from that area, we moved out in the country. But I didn't never go to church school, but my brother did. So that was known in the 50s and 60s. If you're going to get educated, you had to go to school in your neighborhood. It was mostly a church house. If it wasn't a church house on Highland, they had built a place for you to go to school. Because the whites went to school on their side of the road, and we were on our side of the road. Until you want to leave or go. Some of them quit anyway.
Who was your favorite teacher?
In my class?
Yes, sir.
Well, I finished 12th grade. I went from 1 to 12, and I had several good teachers. But when I went to school back in the early 40s, about 45 or 46, they had a woman there by the name of Miss House. She was black or mama. And then the next school, I went to 2nd grade. That was a little different. When some of them just got different personalities. And so 2nd grade, pretty good. 3rd grade, It was pretty good. And in the 4th grade, it was pretty good. But when I got to the 5th grade, we met a lady named Miss Coleman. She was more like an old grandma. When the school system was, they're going to take time in the evening and talk to the class and stuff. And then she could take them hard heads or those guys don't seem like to have no sense about culture of school, you know. She was able to bring them in. She mothered them. That's what she did. And then we got on up in the other school. When we got to the high school, things did change. You know, people was busy doing the profession. And I spent 4 years in what they call introduction to agriculture. Mm-hmm. We spent 4 years from 8th grade to 12th grade. Well, I didn't see then the value of agriculture, what the school system was doing with it. And we didn't learn, I don't think, I didn't learn too much out of it because I didn't think I would ever live in the room. Because I always thought, no more this picking, no more chopping, and no more hard work. I want to go watch something good and air conditioning, bathroom, lights like. When I come up, we didn't have no lights. No bathroom, no nothing. We just was a third world country. In Lake Providence, when they come here, just a little bit better. But after 64, things really changed. They went putting in water, running water, not just pump water, share the pump. We had running water in 60, 64, 5 to put that down. And I think along about 64 or 5, all the homes while we was on the plantation, they had next bathroom and stuff. Well, I bought a sink before I had running water. It's I think it was 1966. I bought me a sink. It didn't have no running water. Didn't have no hydrant at the house for a fact. I'm just how primitive it was back in 1960. When I come here in 1957, 58, 59, all it was it just wasn't like, we didn't see it, but it was just like you had a house, you put some furniture in, and you had, here I had electricity. But in Lake Providence, we were looking at the lights across the street, and we didn't have none on that whole area.
Wow.
I'm just saying, that's how far I go back in the rural to 1940 something. And then when I left the country, the house where we lived didn't have any lights in it. And the first time I seen lights was along about 1949. We moved in with our stepmother. She had water, gas, and stuff like that, common thing.
Wow. Because,
You know, she was in the city. I guess they had meals and stuff that worked there, but on the farm, you know, your income was about like $4 a day, $5 to raise your garden and stuff, and then hustle some rabbits and coons if you're good enough, and fish, you get you some fish, and go out there and cut your wood and tend to yourself, make your own lard, you save your own food up and preserve it. That's where it was when I was coming up in Louisiana. I come here when I was 19.
19.
Yeah.
I remember some of those days too. I remember when they started putting the light poles down coming toward our house. I didn't know what was going on. I was real young. But before that, we didn't have electricity either. And it was just amazing once they got the poles and everything set up and they started running wires through the house, letting us know that we have to use the old lamps anymore after this, so we're going to put some lights in. All I do is hit the switch or pull the string. So it started getting dark. I was wondering when they gonna finally pull the string. And when they did, man, it was just like bright in the day, you know. But then along came the mosquitoes on with the lights. So
now the one that had a little bit more plus living, I want to say, see, his daddy could have a little bit better living than us on the farm, because they could sell the cotton or whatever, and they could buy a little bit more. They could buy this what they call gas lamp, and you know, cause now a lot of them had 2 people in the family, but some of them had them folk that you didn't have no room for. Talking about 4 more. And you see, when I come up to know anything in 1940s and coming into the 40s there, we had 2 rooms with 7 people in it. 2 rooms. Kids sleep in the kitchen, sleep in the bed here, and everybody, it just slept wherever you could get. That's how it was when we were children. But you know, when we moved to Wabash, well, things a little better. I had my stove in the living room, and we had a bedroom, and you know, we done jumped up. we got a little better. It was something when we moved to Arkansas. We had at least 4 rooms.
Wow.
And then I was able to be better in the Dustin. The ball man was always helping me, you know, advancing me and stuff. And so when I left from Howell Lebanon, went to Helena back in 1969, I wired my own house up like I wanted. I piped my own house up, and I fixed things like I wanted to be convenient.
Nice.
But then the President Nixon started putting nice rural homes in the country among about 70.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I got an idea, I got a taste, I got a feeling I wanted one of them. So, because I said, when I'm raising my kids, I don't want to stay on the farm all my life on it. They would, you know, advance. So my boss, man, he wanted me to stay, because, you know, that was pretty good. But I said, I'm going to have to go. So when they got these projects in the 70s, and 71, 72, 73, they had them all over the community, even about just a few miles from where I live.
Mm-hmm.
But I would skip and went to West Helena. I had bought me a home with up to date. I
Wow.
had water, I had, it was up to date.
So when you bought the home, you moved from the
From the plantation.
but
So
the
I was getting kind of close like they were.
okay. but the overseer manager tried to encourage you to stay.
It wasn't a mistake, or you say you need good laborers.
Mm-hmm.
And you need good, dependable people that you can trust. And I was converted here in Arkansas. So when I come here, I was a teenager, just like a high school coach finds a good star player. They put him under his arm and you know, help him, and just like you hear him talking about Shaquille O'Neal, how his coach did him. Well, see, that was my boss done me when I first landed here at 19. He began to say, anything I can do to help you, I'm going to help you, and he did.
Wow.
But I couldn't stand the job. I could make more money, though. Instead of, when I first come here, I made $800 in 1958.
All
I
year.
made just about $2,000 in 59. And, you know, they feel I was, if you little talent, you can do better. But you ain't got no talent, you can't drive tractor too good, and you ain't care what you do or don't do. You're going to be a little different how you be accepted.
Mm-hmm.
Because anytime something good come along, if you very accepted, see, I come here with a 12th grade education, so I'm sort of, you know, advancing, you know. If you can keep me, you help yourself. But, you know, a lot of times the kids, when I come in 1957, getting out of high school, they're hitting the road. They wouldn't drive a tractor.
Wow.
Their dad and mama stayed, but they gone. Even over there across Lake View where I'm staying now, they starting to leave the farm. That means your dad and mama ain't got nobody to work.
When they left the farm, where did they go?
Chicago, St. Louis,
Big cities.
Boston, anywhere. Most of them, some of them had to go where the kin folks.
Right.
So there's a lot of kin folks in Chicago to go there. I know got folks up there in St. Louis to go there. So the young man out of school is trying to find a place that he can develop himself.
Right.
Now,
Reverend
when I
James,
come here, the boy man lost 5 young men.
5.
5 at one time.
Wow.
When I come here, the houses if they work, the young men leave and wouldn't work on the farm because they wanted more than $5 a day.
Mm.
So it was hard for the farmer to keep somebody of that culture to drive for the young. So you end up with guys maybe 40, 50, something like that. And then a lot of them, what they call, they had their own, they call folk home. I mean, they paid 25% and they got 75. Now they done good. They could buy a car, they could buy a truck, they could take care of themselves. But see, we pay half and half. On sharecropper, that's the way it went, half and half. You work, we call it working on, that's what they used to call working on the half.
We're going to have.
Yeah.
So how did that work in terms of like cotton?
Yeah, you see, 1955, they stopped having the what you call the four. They say, well, I'm working on the four. That left. So most farmers went to day labor. They took all the land that you call work on the floor, and they began to, the land owners, boss or whoever it was, he hired his man to work by day instead of just farmer working on the half or those that call themselves a full worker. So the farmer just turned into just you work for them or an individual. So when I come, they had houses, and they had the land just like he lived over there on the Lamb owner. They had us the way we would do. We had the house, but we had to work for a half. And if you couldn't afford, no plow, you can't afford no mule, you can't afford nothing. So the half where you being able to make a living, and your children was the employers. You wake your children to pick the cotton, the children chop the cotton, and they kept up they part of the land they owned, or they were given. And then, they had what they call a commissary. You ever heard about a commissary?
A commissary, yes, sir.
See, a commissary, you can go get some groceries. My dad used to be so happy when March come. He gonna get some furniture. They gonna put up some money. I don't know how much you got now, but he know he gonna get some groceries and gonna get that furniture because he promised the furniture sort of like putting the money down in the bank before you get paid and you sell it at the end of the year.
Kind of like a layaway.
Yeah, so you get the money to buy some groceries and stuff like that because you'll suffer from December with your hog killing and your stuff you saved up and you bought your 100 pound flour, your 50 pounds barrel of meal, and you bought your 25 pound sack of sugar and your spaghetti. You bought your storage at the storage house. Now we don't have that. We had stuff stored up in the house, so we'll have food to go from December back to when spring comes. And so when it gets low, you need some more.
Right.
So that was happening on the half farmers. Now we were kind of crossed the levee from how Lumberton was over here, they had acres and acres, but over across the levee, they was buying trucks and cars. And when I first knew it around about 1958, 59, the tractors are like the lawnmower now. You could pick the tractor up. Like them big old lawnmower. It was just like them little small internet, small Fords, small camera. It was small tractor, one row. And then with run where you run down and make another row. Then but with the Fitzhugh was about the most productive one over there. He was able to get stuff. But some of them had to use the mules or small equipment. And the folk work hard. I don't know what the money's like, because they were more like advanced over there on the 75 project than we was on the plantation. Because some of them had some cars, and they were able to manage their own money. But us on the plantation was a lot different. We get in the back of the truck, haul it around to the store, commodity, hustle, try to, for them. See, I always had a big family. I thought I was 21 with 5 folks.
So on the plantation, the overseer, the white bosses are really have much more control over you.
Well, see, I feel if you wait for an individual, you got more compassion for you. But you wait for a company of large area and people under them waiting for them. The one you work for, well, most of the one was your go-to guy, and he the one make sure you get what you want, but you got to go to the heads of house. And sometimes I had problem with them because I had to take my man, who they call the agent, to vouch for me. Because you can't go up there to them and tell them I need some payment for my car, I need a payment. Well, I ain't one of the employees of the big house, because I didn't go to my boss now. I went up and told them, they told me they couldn't do it. It upset me. I said, well, I asked them as hard as I work just for this amount of money, and they couldn't get to me. It set me up for a future not long here.
Wow.
Well, I said, if I work this hard and I can't get insurance for my family to take care of family, if something's wrong, this is not a good place. Now, the people was nice that would own the farm, but the folks that were in charge, all those folks, was under them. And sometimes they get too bad, you know what you have to do? Find the heads of house. Find Big Daddy.
Wow.
And tell them, say, and then what he'll do, he'll try to help you stay there if you qualify. And he'll try to make sense back on. When I got upset once, I asked him for something. He didn't give it to me. I said, that's all right. They never get to me. But I figured, I work hard, I make faith for the Lord, I got religion, I had good moral. I figured I was up something.
Yes,
I
exactly.
figured I had value. I figured if you want me to stay, make it possible, because I have a way of making time.
So you told the overseer or the manager, if you want me to stay,
Most time my manager
Okay.
was my boss. We call him agent.
agent.
So he always talked to me, just talk to me.
Yeah.
I mean, he always talked to me.
So, but you
Put
gave
away, I
him,
got my education from him.
you gave him a choice. You know, if you want me to stay, you need to pay
Well, I
more.
was saying, he'll treat me nice, but he had to go to somebody else, didn't know me, and didn't have no bad what my needs were. So what he do, he go to them and get. So we come down to the coming into the sadness. I asked for something and I got rejected. That set me up for a little mean that I didn't want to hurt him. But he always was nice and done everything he could to help leave me. My family got sick, make sure they go to the doctor and stuff like that. But I had to go to somebody else to get what I want. And then that if I wanted something, I can't go to them, me. I had to go to them, him. And so when I got ready to leave the farm, it set me up to leave the farm was because the bad way thought I was misused. And then I went to borrow some money because he was trying to get me to pay my bills and stuff, and I ain't got no money because, you know. So it got so bad, he had to go get the money for me.
Reverend
When he go
James,
get the money, what I did, I did like that for a while with it, but you know what I'm saying? It's stuff like that on a farm like I working on, it's not like this. You see, he was considered over us little plantation guys. Because plantation guys, we was on the hand of who owe us.
Right.
We can't go to the man who paid. Because he gonna send you back to your boss man. If he say you can have it, you can have it. If he don't say you can have it, you can't get it.
Right.
So that was some of my problem with it.
What were race relations like during those times, like in the 50s and 60s?
With me, being on the farm where I was on, we wasn't there with nobody else but us kind.
Mm-hmm.
Now back in '63 changed up a little bit because many of the ones that were our color, well, none of us down nowhere. So back in '63, we had about 5 colored folks was on the farm. And then we had about 20 or so others was non-colored. They was a little different than that, you know, cause, you know, it's how much you make and what you had to do to make a living, and you need somebody to work, and you need somebody you can depend on. So put the agent in a position, find somebody that you can work to help you with this farm. And how dependable, you know how I believe.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys was good tractor drivers, could do most anything they come up with. Well, you were valuable. You were sacrificing for it. But now somebody don't care if we be here today or tomorrow. Now that was kind of hard for the agent to depend on. So he looking for labor that'll help him make a living. And he'll have to make them happy to stay. Because if he don't, they gonna go. So I'm saying, yeah, we was plantation life is different than what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
Managing. See, at the time when I was on the farm, he was little. I don't know how old he was. He couldn't have been more than about 5 years old, 1958.
Yeah, exactly.
see, then these people, a lot of farmers owners had their own farm.
Yeah.
And they had to go through the MFA. What was the farmers called?
Yeah.
Up there, the government. They'd see the government for what they had to have. They didn't have to see 3, 4 different people.
Okay.
They know they had to go here to the office and see them what they said. Because they was owning or paying from a farm while we was on a farm that we was just trying to make a living for our family. So it was different on the plantation than it was on a home owned. because the homeowners, see, they find banks or somebody to finance what they do. But us, it's a highway, no way but the highway. You don't do what else, you gotta go.
Yeah.
If you're good, see, if you got a good life, people will stand in the gap for you. They'll help you. Because when I got out of England there, see, I wouldn't fuss and squabble like some do. Have a little race. No, I wouldn't do that. And so I got married with some of them down there in the 1970s. Because I'm owning the home, trying to pay for it. And the situation they had, they didn't ask or concern what I needed or what I need to do. My concern wasn't matter. They said it. When they said it, it hurt me. It hurt me. Then I got off it. That's what starts anything when you're hurt. You don't think.
Gentlemen, if you don't mind, my knees kind of bother me, so I'm going to stand. But
You got some problem? Yeah, I know how that is.
When I was in the Army, I was a paratrooper. I injured my knee, and I never quite got over it. But
Standing hurts me and sitting hurting you.
yeah. Well, what do you all remember when you first heard about the Elaine massacre?
Well, since I come in from somewhere else, I was involved with a lot of older people, you know, working around me, especially in the church. And now some of them homeowners that I got in church, they wasn't on the plantation, they owned their own land. And I pastored some of them, you know, there in this area. And they folk was involved. Immediately, you know, they're all dead now, but their folk was involved around that time in this situation. They was a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they, cause now you have to be over 100 years old. I'm 20 years under that. So you have to be 100 years old. And some of these people was born in probably like 1919, maybe born in the 1908 like my daddy was or so. They was too young to know exactly what was going on.
Right.
Now they got it from somebody else that was talking.
Exactly.
Anybody back in 1950, I come here in 1957, I had a guy, he was born in 1800, something like 1888, 1890. I had a few our churches there were filled out, a lot of them in 1880, 1890.
Okay.
Back there, but they didn't live over there. They lived most out of town.
Yes,
They didn't
sir.
live in the circle here. So most of them probably was passed on.
And Reverend, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know for me, I was practically grown when I first heard about it. Then I heard it from somebody who was much older than I am. So it wasn't a whole, I lived, like I said, I lived at Lambrooks, and there was little said about it unless somebody in Elaine would bring it up every now and then.
Okay. What would they say about it? Like when you, I'm interested in like when you first learned about it, when you first heard about it, and then maybe your response to it.
Well, some didn't talk much about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that did, most talked to me, his dad and him lived in the area. You know, Mr. John Morrow and Mr. Seiko, you know. But Mr. Morrow talked about it more than anything.
Albert Morris, that's what
He
told me about.
he said he was about 8 or 9 years old, so I mean, he had to be passed on too.
Right.
And Mr. Seiko was younger than Mr. John.
Right.
So Mr. Morris, Mr. John Morris, about the most informative one I would talk to.
Okay. Did they talk about, and I'll just be honest with you, right now when people talk about events like the Elaine massacre, the Chicago or the Tulsa massacre, people will talk about the event, but they won't talk about why it happened.
Well, that's true, because I've been around this section ever since I was young. And a lot of the people out there were, you know, was on the farm, they were mentioned, nothing like that, because they probably didn't care. But when I moved in here, Elaine went to passing here, meeting people who had owned farm, or their dad and mama, they'll say something about it, you know. But to get somebody immediately, to know a person on, they most have to get it from their parents or somebody involved. Now I got informed a whole lot from right here, because I would come here and see material that was laid up and some things that was laid on the table I could read, like the Elaine 12 films. I found out why some of the history of them and why they would come here for the land, and they got it, you know, and things went bad for them. And the Bible got upset, you know, and you know how you do when you got 12 children to raise and you got money you need fertilizer, whatever. And some of them got upset, and in the books I read, you know, what I found here, because most of them were able to get material that, you know, most of us don't have. And so our church pastors, some of them like me, come in from somewhere else. They wasn't born and raised in, and they moved out and make sure they are wherever they want to come. Now us homeborn, like he homegrown. See, I integrated. I learned mine from somebody else. So he was lit too young, and his daddy, he come from Louisiana too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Mr. Muff, he come from Louisiana too. Mr. Nova folk, they come from Louisiana. So I'm saying they wasn't no regionally mold here like some. But Mr. John Morrow, yeah, he was actually here. St. Cole, he was here. Mr. Muff, he always was, you know, he talked to something, but not a lot. Mostly, you had to get it out of the books. Somebody else write it down. And that's how I found out about some of the problems, about land and managing and finances and stuff like that. So if you got a hog and you can't get this price, somebody else gets for the hog. And then some of them was kind of, like my wife, she had some bigoted ways. But she was telling me, but she don't know about what she really would do. But she said she didn't like what she heard went on, so that made them get really aggressive. What they wouldn't do and how they wouldn't do. But sometimes people did because they had to. I took a lot of things with children to be able to get along and raise my children. Be able to feed them and didn't have nowhere to run, because I didn't have nowhere I know to run. Because you see, where I was, all my folk were. When I come here, I wasn't around nobody that was really kin to me. Me, and the rest of my in-laws. And then I made friends over the last 60-something years. I was able to make friends with people. That's how I become kind of with association with most of the friends and in-laws. Not because I got an uncle, somebody, ain't so-and-so, those kind of folks. Because I left all my folks to do that. When I come here, I learned more folks.
Wow.
But I learned some of this stuff out from books and material. I think about a few years ago when I come here, I picked up some material and I found out, you know, even when you hear something like news runs about something, you know, that's not the people that immediately start here.
Yes,
I've been here 62 years. And when I come here, a lot of these folks were 45, 50-something years old. And they were moving. When the farmers started taking away the poor and the sharecroppers, and they had 12 or 10, 9, whatever children they had, they didn't have nothing for them to do. And since they had nothing for them to do, they were locating places where they could make a living. And so when I come to Lumber Company, they had a lot of empty houses. Folks that moved out because they wasn't farming no more, like half, working on the half, they were no longer working on the poor. And they weren't day labor, and some of the guys wasn't up to day labor, didn't have the type of life that we just driving tractors and stuff. So when you get old, like 70, 80 years old, you run and dig water for the people with the right to plant. But the young people like I was, that's why come in 20 years old or something like that, you get a job.
Yes, sir.
But I'm saying, at that time, most of the people was leaving the farm in 55 because they no longer had the farmland or the land they were allowed to work on the half or didn't have the money, didn't have the land where we call it working on the poor. So the farm decided we're gonna go day labor. So when they went day labor, people started to move everywhere. And when the youngster come up on the farm, and you know, he wasn't too happy with it, he just there because he needed a job for a minute. And then he wasn't getting but 25 a week and work 60-some hours. I work day and night, 16 hours a day. See, when I first come in 59, I work hard. See, work all day up to 12, 1 o'clock, maybe 12 o'clock, maybe whatever time to get the man's crop in, or get the work in. I draw about $60-something. And 'cause when I work in the Lake Providence, I work day labor too, $15 a week. That was good for a boy.
Was that in the 1960s?
When I come here, see, back in 50, 55, you work on the farm on the truck. Hundreds of us go out there on the farm, work on the farm, do chopping cotton, beans, most cotton, and then you pick cotton when the time comes, and we get $300, we get 30 cents out. As a teenager, I'm getting $15 a week. But when our family there, they had 5 or 6 boys, he made $105 a week with us chopping cotton. When I come here, I kept my own money and stuff. When I come here, what hurt me, I wasn't used to this kind of way of life. Brother James, I tell you what, when I got a zero for payday, that was upset.
You got a zero.
Got a zero for payday week. I was upset. Ball man, seeing tears flying everywhere. And he said to me, you know you have to pay him. I think I need to get somebody. It was $5 or something.
Wow.
I couldn't see nobody working 2 or 3 weeks and you're going to get zero for a payday. And you got to get groceries and you got to pay lights and stuff. It's just, see, when I come out of Louisiana, I didn't know nobody wasn't getting nothing. Because, well, we worked on a farm. That's what set us up on a farm. We worked on a farm. Daddy bought him a nice car. Oh, we was happy. Next year, we worked on a farm. We come out $23 in the hole.
You owe money.
December.
Yeah.
See, children don't see things like grown folks.
Yes,
now, he
sir.
know what went on. To me, how we going to eat? So we moved off the farm and stayed out.
If you don't mind me asking, now what did you owe money for?
Well, you see, you had to. Well, most times then your living was cheap, and you get paid according to if you're able to work. You know, on the farm Daddy worked on, he worked at a half. That's a different story. But when I come here, I worked about a day labor. So I prayed to God to let me make $5. That means I don't want it to rain. I need that $25 a week.
Right.
I'm praying hard, don't let it rain today, because that $5 I'll lose. But when the boss man in 1963 where I lived, he set a system up that we'll get some money, put us on straight time. And that means we could get managed for ourselves. And then I always was able to budget and manage for myself. And we had a family, 6 or 7 folks or more at one time or the other. We'll go there and find how much a box of lard costs, and flour and meal, spaghetti, sugar, and we'll sit down and figure out to stay in that budget. And the boss man will see, at the time the boss man will give us a money order for about $15 a week. And we had to make that $15 stretch to take care of our family, to make sure we had food. So instead of buying junk, we bought beans, peas, we bought stuff that we were going to make a whole week with.
Real food.
Yeah.
Real food.
And see, we get paid every 2 weeks, got to make that. So we go on a $15 a week. So we didn't want to get head over the hill and then like $400 to $500 like some would do. So me and my wife, with that family we had, we'll find some way to make a living without have to be deep in debt. And so when we go to the work, when you get back in that field to plant or whatever you're going to do, and whatever money I made them 2 weeks, and she'll go and hustle to make that end, make us stay within that $15 budget, so we won't be owing no bunch of money. But God bless, we got sick. They let us pay for it as you go. And sometimes our sickness may cost a little bit of money, because you have to pay for the doctor bill and all that stuff. So by the time August come, or maybe when you go back to work in September, I done paid that bill. But I would go up there and get me a radio, TV, and all that kind of stuff. I just provide for my kids the best way I could. And she'll go up to up there to what you call the Sabbath store and get stuff for 35 cents, pants, and 25 cents, shoes and stuff to keep our kids going to school and stuff. And she'll work in the field They were too little. He worked in the field and take it up on, but he was more about managing.
Managing.
Yeah.
More about managing. Manage what you already got. Don't get over what you can afford. I said, if you ain't making but $10, don't get 15.
Right.
Stay on your budget. And so at that time, I'm 18, 19, 20 years old. I'm budgeting, and she had already had a family before. So we learned how to stay with our budget and made
Okay.
it during the hard times of the 50s and 60s. And so managing is the number one.
Very well.
Well,
Reverend
we
James,
were making more money, couldn't keep up.
And most farmers that own their own land,
yes, sir.
they had problems too because the money they borrowed in the spring to get the crops in and everything, they wouldn't get any more money until the harvest time. So that's what kind of put them in the hole. They had to raise a lot of food for the family and everything. Other than that, they had to borrow some, hoping that they had a good crop at the end of the year to pay it off and then come out ahead until next spring.
You about the same thing
About
with
the same,
sharecropping.
yeah.
See, the only thing with sharecropping, you had the boss man who run the farm. He will let you have some money to take it out on your settlement. See, when you get a settlement, sharecropping, you get all your cotton seed. You get Daddy just went hard for seed money. Or you get the seed money, that help buy some groceries and stuff like that. But then, when you get all your cotton sold, you pay all your debts.
Right.
Except in August, December, whatever. Then someone will settle some here down at that, get some money. They'll settle and give them something. But we prayed for the settlement.
Right.
You can get $400-500. You can get $400-500. You can buy some clothes. But now, I didn't know how they fared because with these, since I went to buy my own home, taking care of my own light, water, gas, and stuff like that, then I know I need a job to continue to stay and keep the money up. See, they don't depend on, then some of the farm, what they do, their wife had to run the farm, while the husband take a job out.
Yeah.
To make sure they had money.
So even those that own their own farms would work for other people.
They would go out and work.
Okay. Did farming, you talked about the pressures of budgeting and the money you got back. Did farming become more difficult in the 50s and 60s in terms of being able to make a living on the land?
Yeah, it did.
And why?
It was just a transition of rising cost of everything, one thing. And probably as it is today, same thing farmers facing today. The price of the commodities was stable and based on prior years. There wasn't no great acceleration on the profits of the commodity that the farmers were raising. There was several crops that came along. I'm thinking it was in the 60s when they had the okra picking to come in for different farmers that own their own farm. They would grow okra and I think it was cucumbers, tomatoes. Stuff to kind of
So
help
they
out.
had to have something to make up for what you didn't make with your crop until you got ready to go. Because Daddy would talk about laying by July.
Right, that was
And
it.
then you could get out if you had a family hustle somewhere other way to keep you some money on.
Explain to us what laying by means. People may not
That
be.
means, see, you got to keep that cotton little. You got to chop, and you got to keep it, continue to chop, keep it from growing up. With grasses and weeds, most of Johnson grass, killer's weeds, ragweeds, and vine. And so if you didn't, your field would be grown up so bad you couldn't have to take your cotton for it wrapped up and stuff. And then I remember a time in the 50s, wasn't but 4 of us, and we had this, I don't know how many acres, could have been 25 or so. Keep them waking up, and Dad said, well, we be glad when it gets over level, you get what we do. Now, we ain't gonna do exactly right all the time. You chop this end up in the field. You chop the other end up in the field. But now when the tail comes in, since we can't pick on the cotton because we got too much to pick, you send the Mexicans out there. They ain't picking in that raggedy cotton. They ain't going to buy, they can't make no money. They'll leave it. So that means you could have a profit there, but since you done tricked the farmer, you got good cotton on each end, but this vine, these weeds, you don't chop it, You got to climb over there. I know the cotton picker had a time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to go through the cotton picker and get hung up with the vines and weeds. Had to get out and get them out and cook a bullet on my head because it's too grass. But now, you know, that wasn't done on the half. That was day labor's enough. No, it's always been some trying time, but we find out you had some good guys that would oversee the farm, like agents. They'll take care of you personally, help you to stay or keep your family if they can. But then, you know, had some, and they didn't care one way or another. That made a whole lot of problems in there. You couldn't keep no labor or folks that leave because they can't get nothing. Main thing you know, you're gonna be laying off in July, August. You got to go up to September, November. You need some money. Now you can go to the store and get you some groceries on credit, or come and take it to a few on credit. Then you could go and now some will go to the mills, go to the mat fields, and stuff like that to help supply money to make their crop. Like Mr. Franco did and his daddy did. They all had jobs other than the farm because they needed that money. And then when your children start leaving, 18, 19 years old, your numbers are going down. And you're too old to do your own work. And you ain't able to keep up. Now, because your crop don't produce stuff to pay your bill, you go in a hole. And when you get in the hole so long,
Yeah. Reverend Lamb, did you grow up wanting to be a farmer as an adult and kind of follow your parents' footsteps?
When I was real young, I did. But after I found out all the work that was involved in it, you know, that was one thing too. Like you said, when you got a certain age and you done chopped and picked cotton all your life and stuff like that, you're ready to move on to something different. So,
When did you decide that you wanted to move on to something different?
it was probably after I reached adulthood. That's when I became a truck driver. After that, it was I was in my 30s, I think, when I started driving trucks.
Okay. Is that was that a career?
Yeah.
Okay. And where did you drive? What was your?
It was a company out of West Memphis, Builders Transport,
Okay.
called Flatbed.
Wow. Was that long haul trucking or?
Yeah, it was a long haul.
Yes, sir.
It was an experience, I tell you. It was good. It gave you a chance to really be in control of how much you make, and then, you know, you had to manage no matter what you're doing. So you could follow the whole driving truck just as well as farming. And that's one of the biggest things that it teaches you going on up on the farm. It teaches you how to be a manager of your own finances, especially when you have families involved. It don't make any difference where you are. You have to learn how to manage and try to hold on to some of it as best as you can.
Wow.
yeah, I agree. When we left the farm in 72, we had a new home, everything was new, and the job the same. And well, the company will help you pay your light bill, your water bill, your gas bill, and so on. You pay them when you get money. So when you get on your own, you have to learn how to get used to managing.
Right.
When you have to pay that light bill that you ain't been used to paying, because you had somebody to bag up like mama, big mama there, big daddy in that phone, but now you got to pay it, and you got to, when you get your money, you got to be sure you pay the light bill because they're going to cut it off. Now you got to go to somebody to get it. So I had to buy gas, and we were using LP. Managing was a little hard to get used to because I wasn't used to managing. Not a house, buying gas, the light bill, then get some food. So my wife got a job, and well, we could have made it better, but I think she got kind of carried away. She didn't want to spend her money on all that stuff. That means mine would go. Now we were making enough to pay pretty good on that house. They wouldn't charge much, $46 a month. And then as the children leave, you may go up no higher than 100. And she's making more money than me. I'm making $80 a week, she's making 130. But what happened? Dismanaging, not managing. She didn't manage like she did when she didn't have nothing. She could take that nothing and make something out of it. And then when she went to having plenty of money, You didn't manage. You just did not. And I was like this. There were some guys who make us Secretary of State. We just like the check, dump, there you go. And you manage. And then if you're not a true manager, you'll ease around and say, I'll pay this next month. Now you're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah.
And because our part of our management is number one. Make sure you're managing what you got. But you'll get over out there and getting credit cards and stuff you can't pay. Buying stuff, you don't pay this bill, you don't pay the light bill, you don't pay the. But one time we moved back to the farm, but we was as a day labor, main bagged the truck up to the house for the furniture. And I said, what went wrong? Well, found out, went back and said, well, you ain't paid us nothing since you pay so now we're going to unload your house.
Wow.
Found out my friend jumped in to help me from taking it. But I'm saying it's all because it was not managed.
And then back in those days when they had individuals had their own farm, they also had large families.
Right.
I was just 13 of us, and you know, it's kind of easy to take care of small children when you got a large family, but as they begin to grow, that 40 acres just couldn't sustain everybody. You know, therefore, you know, the dad had to leave, especially when the older siblings got a chance to be able to know how to work the farm and everything. So it's kind of primarily left up to them. But when they started leaving, and you know, the young ones started coming, then that creates a problem. So what happened is a lot of farmers during that time probably would have liked to have kept their farming, but the children that had grown up and had moved away were no longer able to support themselves and their families, as well as stay there and manage their dad's farm and everything. So they had to go different areas to find work.
Yeah. Some would say like the prodigal son, give me my part.
Give me mine. Let me go.
The others stay gonna wait.
Stay gonna wait.
He's gonna end up like the one that will complain.
Yeah.
He's gonna be out there hours and hours doing the work and fooling around, and sometimes we work so hard we don't take time to get a vacation, don't take time to rest, can't fish, can't do nothing but work. And then the other guy, he feels like he's getting away with something. Go. Because I remember my two sons, you know, one of them go out there on the yard and clean up, cook, do everything, and one of them don't never get tired. When he get home, he going to lay down. And so he got upset one day and they called me, he's up there having a raid down at the house. And I said, what's wrong? He said, I clean the yard, I cook, I clean the carpet, and so on, so on, never do nothing. And you give him a key and won't give me that. You know why he didn't get in there? He was a thief. He was a car. He was everything but the right thing. And Mama couldn't treat him like the other boy. Never get with into trouble, never done anything. If you act and do it, you do it. So I'm saying, in the home, you got to have cooperation, commitment, and people need to be able to feel the pain. And if they don't, you can't drag people too long if they don't want to, you know, be promoted on their own. You can't.
Yes, sir.
You can't drag a family on your back. So we were getting so when the plantation was gone, when the people were no longer could work on the 4 or the half, because you had somebody could stand in, if you need something you could go to, borrow you maybe $100 or so, and put on your crop or something. So you ain't got that now. If you don't make it, you don't get it. And kids wasn't really wanting to drive tractors. They thought that was a cheap income. You drive a whole week and you don't get about $60, $70. Now, 2 weeks in most cases. Most of them take about 2 weeks. And they want to buy a car and stuff like that. And it's hard work, continuous. And some work, we work one time 13 hours a day regardless. Full 6 days. And at that time, I think some was getting $25 a week for that. But where I worked at, they would at least give them $40 a week, among about 50, 63, 4 on up. So and then they were able to set it up that you could get, at the end of the year, you get something like a bonus. That made you feel good, because I had a bonus. I could buy what I wanted, go see my folks when I got ready. But one time I I went to get my bonus. I looked at him and been cut. I was going to go see my folks, but the bonus been cut. And I was saying that wasn't the idea we made. We wasn't talking about it, but they told me what they're going to do. And I asked him about this project. Said, I thought we were going to pay so and so and so and so. He said, well, you know what's nothing. That's the way he told me off. You know what's nothing. I said, me, it was that TV? Yeah. I said, okay, all right. Because it promised $15 every payday. And so I said, well, I've no doubt to get down there.
Wow.
So it starts with confusion, frustration over your family needs and your family success. And you got more than one manager in the family that she called a woman, your wife. She cooking, she ironing, she doing everything. And if she ain't got no job, she depending on what you get. Now you know, women now get them jobs now. Her wife, she got a job in Elaine to help some. And she drive down every day. But most time our children got grown gone now. It's difficult to live as fast as how we got now. I was making $600 every 2 weeks sometimes. And wife still said we should stack bracket. So you got light bill, you got water bill, you got everything coming off of that a little bit. It kind of makes it hard to manage. If you don't manage, it's going to be hard to make it with a meat.
Right.
When
Reverend
you
James,
manage, you can take that little bit, come out pretty good.
I was going to ask you, when did you start pastoring? Did you receive a call to the ministry? Did you?
Yes, you know, in the ministry, in my case, you know, I had fairly good sized family because it was about 9. And when I come to Arkansas, you know, I was pretty well between evolutionists, didn't care one way or another. God and I don't know about no God. Religion was nothing more thing. And so I believe in science and stuff like that, biology, whatever I learned. And my wife was religious. She talked to me about it. I had folks in the community, you know, around me, men and women, and some people, some of them would be special, like Deacon Monty Day. He stayed there all the time, trying to get me to go to church. I come up with something all the time. But he wanted me to go to Sunday school. That's the place he wanted to start. I said, but I didn't have no clothes. He was one stuff like that. So he had a real maroon coat. He get to me, and what I'm supposed to say now.
But you were.
I said, I got no backup.
Okay.
So I went with him one time.
Okay.
But didn't have no way to get around, didn't have no money. People there knew what they was doing. I was up in there just a lack of, I was kind of lost, you know. Don't know nobody. What they say don't mean nothing. But I kept on going. But the other people would help you make the church. I seen a few fellas in my community younger than me, living more moral and kind of look like they up to what they're supposed to be. And I took part of them out there. I watch them. That's what they do. I watch them for errors, mistakes, faults. Because I don't know nothing about no religion, don't know nothing about no spirit, don't know nothing about nothing. So I watched them, and the wife continued talking. Well, I started to read some. But one day, I thought about my mother, what she did when she was young, come to me. So they asked me to go to the Bible. They was always tempting me. They told me to say, we're going to have a run revival somewhere. See, I was a stranger to come in. That means I don't know nobody. So maybe it's different if I knew somebody. But I said to them, we're going to be running revival, artists, and we want you to go over there and be with us at so-and-so place. I told them, I'm going to Pig Red. Wasn't no revival at Pig Red. I didn't know about Pig Red, so then I thought, but you know what you said? You told them you're going to Pig Red. You know you ain't no Bible over there. So I said, well, when they open the Bible, I'm going to go. So when they opened the Bible, I went. My mother's testimony was good. I saw some people was really good. But my mother's testimony was really the one. Since I don't know nobody, her testimony, I heard her talking in her day, hope me to understand something about it. So prayer, no. Singing them old song, no. Going to church, none of that stuff. That was out of my way. I wasn't here for no church. I was here because of my wife. She had a baby for me. That's my relationship. That's all I cared about.
Mm-hmm.
But I went to reading, and I wasn't quite ignorant of everything. I started to pray. And when I got there, I seen them people getting on their knees. They were praying and they were crying and getting on. I said, these people are concerned about me. I said, they're really concerned about me, and I need to pray. And so they finally tuned me up. I'm praying with who I'm praying with, who I'm talking to. Is he hearing me? Is it making any difference or not? But when I thought about my mother, what she said, well, that gave me some sort of sense to approach on. Well, praying, you know what? You're talking to somebody you ain't seen, heard, or know, or got no kind of sign, or you ain't never had nothing. You don't even know it exists, but it's just like a imagination to me at the time. Well, after 3 to 4 days in the prayer meeting they did there, and all them songs they were singing, somebody got me. And don't let Christian people start praying for you. Some of them get out. They can get through. I remember that Friday night. They had them preached and sprung and prayed over me, and singing all them songs. I don't know none of them. But I started out the church, seemed like I was so heavy. I got to the door and I would begin to tear up. I was trying to stop, but they done got to my spirit. So I started to say, well, since they're praying so hard for me, I think I'll do a little something. So I went out and I took off praying some. So that Saturday night, I said to myself, tonight I'm going to get up and pray like myself. I did. And you know, until you get in this and understand how it works, you don't know. It's just like what it is. You're doing everything sort of like in a dream or something. Otherwise, it's not real. But when I got down on my knees that night, didn't have 4 or 5 folks there. 3 women on the morning with me, and they were crying just like they had a funeral. I mean, they're putting on some stuff there, singing songs, and everybody's happy. So I got out there and was praying, and I said, I'm still ain't got nothing. All this praying and still ain't got nothing. Well, I said, oh, I'm doing all this, and ain't still got nothing. Mr. Son Mays would tell me, give it up. I would hear say, give it up, Artie, give it up.
Who would say that?
And Mr. London D was singing that song, if I had a ticket, can I ride?
Can I ride?
All them kind of stuff. And then I stood up, and of course, when I was saying some with tears said, stand up. I stood up. Now, I probably won't have nothing to say, right? So soon I started talking, things started pouring in. Well, that seemed like it was it, didn't it? Well, time I got through testifying, there was a spiritual feeling fell over me. And you know, if you ever been in love, you know how that feels. I remember when I used to get on the dance floor, I didn't know how to dance, but hit the chrome, all these girls sitting there. And something was inside me, give me some energy. I wasn't scared to say, can I have this dance? You know they were turning me down. Then I got one girl who felt sorry for me. She was taller than I was. And got me out on the floor, and you know, just like you see somebody move, I was doing everything but the right tap dancing, whatever. But I was dancing, she put up with it. But I had the strong feeling that evening. It come down on me. Seemed like I didn't wait nothing. That's the experience I had. That experience would cause me to pursue. So when I got home, I was like blues and all that kind of stuff. You know, I wasn't no drink. I didn't like drinking. I wouldn't drink, but I got drunk 1 or 2 times. But this strong feeling fell on me. When that strong feeling fell on me, I realized he was there the next day. So it began with the power of God falling on me through his power of the Holy Spirit. Now, I don't know about the Holy Spirit now. I don't know about no spirits or nothing. I'm just don't know nothing. But just like Paul got knocked out on the Damascus Road, God only know when you thread the needle. I teach them sometimes you can't thread a needle until you get it right. If you can see good, you can do it in a minute. But you got bad eyes, every time you put it in, they're going to miss.
Yeah.
That's when God gets you to thread the needle. When you can get that needle thread, he knows at that moment. And some people get revelations and visions and stuff. So when I got to the ministry, 19 years later, I would continue telling the Lord, I want a pastor. I don't want to preach. I don't want nothing to do with that. I continue to say, oh, I ain't ready. I ain't ready. I had a lot of intensive spirit and vision stuff. But no, people talk about you too bad. I was feeling and going on, but I guess the reality of God, I've drove a cotton picker for 17 years, never had no accident.
Reverend James, you said you had visions. What did you have visions of?
Visions, see, like when he was speaking, like you got a mind. Some folks say I'm daydreaming and stuff like that. So you got a mind. And see you, physically God used within, you the spiritual man inside, not outside.
Yeah.
Right now, when you go to think, a lot of times you don't know what you're finna say till you stand up. You wonder why all this knowledge come, why all this wisdom come, why all this vision come, what's all this, how did it come about? I didn't plan it, I didn't think it, but I'm saying it's some is understood about the nature of a being. Your body ain't nothing but a slave to a spirit, right or wrong. If it's a good spirit, you'll conduct on it. A vision, you'll conduct on it. But you got a bad spirit, hating, envy, malice, well, you know, that's the person you're going to come. And then you pick it out there, ain't nobody going to do me wrong. If anybody do something to me, I'm going to do it back. Sometimes I get on and say, now you thinking what you said? Are you able to pay for what you're going to do? Is that what you really want to do, or are you thinking about it? So once I got, the Bible calls it baptism of the Holy Spirit. But see, I don't know that at 19. So the baptism of the Holy Spirit changed my life.
Okay.
Then once the baptism of the Holy Spirit comes, called it my request. I request the Lord, some folks easily accept it. Some folks hard. Have very proof. You have to prove it to some people. You had to prove it to Paul, Apostle Paul. You had to prove him that was God. He was going out to destroy the church and persecute the church. And God let him do it for a while. But then, on the way to Damascus, that God said time. Because see, the Lord had told the prophet that I done chose him to become, for me, he needed a Gentile minister, and that was Paul as well. And when Paul got on that road to Damascus, he had a vision. He lost his eyesight, and he heard a voice. And he answered, Lord, what thou have me to do? So you keep on going where you're going. I said tonight, Anna and I come to the house, by God, telling Anna and I go to him. And I got Paul prepared. I need you to go talk to him. See, God is not going to let, ain't going to just no angel going to come to you. See, you and God relationship. And God sent somebody to help you understand that. Most is done through prayer and meditation. Now, maybe like I play a lot of role with talking to people. Sometimes don't make no difference one way or another. But when God gives you the vision, sometimes with me, I kept on saying no. I said, well, I don't want them. But I was going down the field one day, like I've been, sleeping sometime, whatever. When I got to the end, I was asleep. I went in the ditch, deep as a 25, 30 foot ditch. And I was trying to get up to get out, I would have got killed. But when I got it to get out, the tractor just hit the bottom of the ditch. If I had jumped out that cab, I got run over. If we'd have caught me and thrown me up, I wouldn't have been able to put that cotton picker, basket there, and then wheel right downside the door. Instead of me jumping off, I got run over and badly hurt or something. But when I got ready to get out the door, it already stopped down the bottom of the ditch, and there wasn't no water in September, that time of year. And I said, I got out, and I walked across, I couldn't see it, it's so deep. I said, Lord, you spared my life, I'm going to give it to you. I said, I'm going to give it to you because I feel like if I've been dead, I've been buried next weekend. I said, since you spared my life, because I could have got to the end of the road, did that, and the concrete of the road with me and still heard dead. So I thought about if God was able to allow me to live through that almost tragic, I owe him something. So from that time on, I've been trying to do that.
Right.
That don't mean I've done everything exact perfect. But only me, with God dealing from the inside the person of you. See, that's why you live. You live in your soul, which is your person. See, you breathe, and that's one thing, but when you get in that person, he can communicate you like these cell phones. Sometimes I just test God all kind of ways. I take this key here. I said, now, this is gonna look at my big key. About almost 500 feet away, I unlock them doors. And some folks can do it further than that. Do you see anything? Do you hear anything? Do you feel anything? Do you know anything? Only thing you know, when you first try it works. And you want to know it works, you hit that red button there, that horn gonna blow. So I'm saying, God is a spirit. And here worship God, but worship in spirit and truth.
True.
See, now some folk, I had a daughter, she said, I'm getting up tomorrow night. But she said, I'm faking it. I'm tired of this. I don't see nothing in it. And here it is, some years later, it's been affected. She don't still know the Lord.
Wow.
Because she knew him, who is the controller of everything, the breath and all. So I got converted by my mother's testimony. But the minister, I rejected that. I rejected the minister. I was satisfied as a singer and a deacon. That's all I wanted to do. But the Holy Spirit, God made me set up a plan. I went in that ditch. When I come out that ditch, I thought about all my rejection, whatever I am about, was no good. I figured I would have been dead anyway. Somebody would give God my life. And that
Reverend
was
Lamb, can you describe your...
That was 1977.
77, okay.
Ever since then.
Reverend, can you describe your pathway into becoming a minister?
I was sitting there listening. I was pretty much the same.
Really?
I remember being in a revival. I was probably about 12 years old, and there was quite a bit of few of us on the morning bench.
Right.
And all the week people were getting up and, saying, I have received from the Lord. I want to be baptized. And I didn't feel nothing. I didn't see nothing. I said, well, I ain't going to move unless something happens.
That's Bishop Evans.
So mine was a Saturday night experience, too. They were closing out revival, as a matter of fact. And one of the deacons said, well, we hate to see him stay here for another year. We don't know what'll happen and stuff like that. And the minister at that time, he said, well, we're going to go into this one more time just on his behalf. It seemed like the whole church was on fire during that last part. And I was just being hushed up, and I said, I'm not going to move unless something happens. And all of a sudden, I could feel myself getting up. I'm still sitting down. It seemed like I'm just moving around in the room and having a good time with those that's moving through the church and everything. Next thing I know, I was up on my feet. That was the first time. That's about 12 years old. So shortly after I become a member of the church, I was crowned to be a deacon.
Yeah.
This was at an early age.
Yeah.
So I went into early stages of deacon and everything, got crowned and everything. Mm-hmm. And all my peers seemed to be having more fun than me. So I said, Lord, something wrong with this picture here. Now I'm in church and here they're having a good time, going to games and parties. So I said, let me experience what they going through and I'll be back. So I was in probably my mid-20s by this time, right? So it's just like a leave of absence. So I went out and I started doing everything everybody else was doing, trying to find out what it was really all about.
Like King Solomon.
Yeah. But when I hit my 30s, I believe, that's when I started driving truck.
Right.
It was in the 80s, I think. Yeah, 87,
Right.
86. And I drove for about 4 years, still making big money, more money than I'd ever seen before, and just getting ready to become an owner-operator, right? So I know I was getting ready to make some money. And I had got on, I said, quit long haul and started doing short haul.
Right.
And one Sunday morning, I was over in South Carolina, Interstate 20, and I couldn't come home because I was too far to come back to Memphis, so I just said stay out there until I got dropped at load and then come back. I was turning the radio trying to get me a rock and roll station or something like that. I could never find one. So I decided, I said, I just turned it for a while, then I heard this guy talking, and shortly after he finished, a minister, old minister, he was talking real slow and kind of shaky voice. I said, well, I just let it stay right there. That's the clearest station I got. I don't know how in the world I got on the side of the interstate, running over about 65 miles an hour. Didn't hit nobody, but I'm on the side of the road parked, and tears just running down. I knew it was time for something was changing, but I didn't understand what it was.
Right.
This was like in '93. And it just so happened I was at the terminal, and guy was supposed to fix the step on the truck with a boat, but he put a tie in it.
Right.
And I stepped up on the back of the truck, and the step broke, and I hit the ground. I'm saying, what's going on here? You know? And it ended up that I had to go in the hospital, had to have surgery, all kind of stuff. And I'm really confused now because I know I'm getting ready to make big money, and I hate to stop right now because everything going so well. So after surgery and everything, I stayed around the terminal for about a year. The doctor was leaving me, say, oh, you getting ready to go back. Now, out of nowhere, I ended up going back in the hospital almost the same time I was in there the previous year. I'm saying, wow, what's really going on here? And I said, this can't be right. And I didn't fall anymore, nothing like this. I'm getting ready to go on the road, get my own truck. And it's like a voice that you remember what you told me, right? And you know, you play it off because you really having a good time. You want to still have a good time, but I had real bad arthritis. Every joint in my body seemed like it hurt. Therefore, I had to go on disability. I said, oh, man. I said, seems like my life is falling apart. What's really going on? And after that second time being in the hospital, I said, Lord, I give up. I give up. Whatever it is you got for me to do, I'm ready for to do it. And my wife was already going to church down in the mill where I'm a pastor now.
Right.
And I said, well, she's been bugging me about going to church. I said, I'm going to go. I said, I'm in a lot of pain. I'm going to take some medicine. I'm going to go with you anyway. So I got down there, and the same experience I had the night I become converted, I had the same thing happen to me again. The minister was preaching, and all of a sudden I can feel myself going around the room in the church, everybody on fire, and all of a sudden I'm standing up when he opened the doors of the church. So I ended up joining down there. Then here comes the good part about it. I said, well, since you already were deacon, we're going to put you back in the deacon spot. I said, okay, I'm fine with that, you know. And I stayed in that position probably about maybe 3 or 4 years. Then everybody said, you a minister? I said, no, I'm a deacon.
You do it. You do it.
You a minister? I
He's
said,
been
no.
designed what you don't want to accept. You remember Moses?
Moses.
He was an Egyptian mostly his grown-up life as he got born. And people say, you was the Hebrew. You won't know. I'm telling you, Egyptian looks. They kept saying, you Hebrew, you supposed to be a Hebrew. Everybody saying Hebrew. He accepted. But when he killed that Egyptian, a Hebrew come to him and told him, said, I see you, you know I see you. But he was protecting the Jewish. But when he took that time off, 40 years.
40 years.
Yeah.
Came to, well, see, it's a reality of an invisible God and a natural person.
Mm-hmm.
We can't understand how greens are grown. And one thing I learned this year, woman cares God wasn't 24/7. Whether she like it or know it or not. When God made her, he made her different than everything he made.
Mm-hmm.
She lives with God and don't know it. He made her for the man, for himself. She accepts the Lord. I don't care how much trouble go on, how much problems she has. She end up always turning herself to God. Or God done something for her that he didn't do for man. He breathed a man a living soul. He took her and made her a bone. That is a question you need to end up with. How did he take a bone and make a person? He didn't tell nobody, he didn't let nobody write it. But she don't know herself.
Wow.
God put his own self in a woman.
So both of you pastor churches currently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about each of the churches you pastor?
Well, I passed several. I've been in Pugh Hall, that's where I converted and saved. Then I have a church right down the road they call Blue Chapel. I've been there for 31 years. That's the third church I had. But the church that I had, Pugh Hall on the farm, was different than the rest because they didn't have a lot of people who could read or write.
Oh, you pastored a church on a farm?
Yeah.
Or on a plantation?
That's where I come and work and live for most of my life until, I'm late. But they had a church right down the road called St. Peter. They were more educated. School, read, write, stuff like that. Plus they had old folks too. So it was a challenge. But they were young and I was young. We chemistry made it good. Because when I would teach something, they would really help. They were willing to follow their mamas and dad was so John. Now I had a little challenge with Christian Stone. Different than I had in Brook Chapel. St. Peter and Pig and Rex pretty well similar. When I went to Christian Stone, they were more grown up. Older men and women and stuff. So I followed some big footsteps too. A preacher that was well disciplined. He was a disciplined preacher. And I knew I was a green rookie to fall in there. But the pastor himself never did challenge me. He always told me, you can preach in any church I have. So I would always welcome him, but some of them didn't do me that way. So when I met them, I've come into, they were more mature. They helped me a whole lot. I'm talking about the older women and men there. They helped me a whole lot. For they being older than me. And been already grown up with such a body, with they feel like Reverend Webb was. That made me would not quite be in charge more than learning and. So, but I had respect for them. I had a lot of respect. And with them having respect, that helped me a lot. So I got a lot of younger men now, young women, but they're educated, they're readers, they're school teachers, they're what you call not just black hair farmers.
Yeah.
They was good, so that make a lot of difference. But I have a great respect for him. Now this young man, he could have been very difficult. He educated, he's good in the scriptures, he got good moral, good patience. He got a lot of stuff, good. And with him, comparable to what the scripture lived a little bit, it kind of lined up like that. And his mama was that way. His uncles and things. I found out they had a history of more sort of life. And so when he got ready to ordain him down, they didn't have a lot of people. And so when he got ready to count up, Bush, he was going to go back and start. I said, no, I know him. He got good morals. We can't get him on no grave. I said, he's better than that. So they helped him up. They were trying to grade it, and they said, ain't nobody can get 100. Everybody gonna get under her no matter how much good you are. So they ordained him, and he lived up to it. And so he's been blessed to get a pastorship. You know, around here they get people from all. Somebody, you know, away from the neighborhood. But we two people was in this neighborhood over 50 years. And when you're in the neighborhood over 50 years, you ain't supposed to be nuts because everybody know you. But I'll tell you about it. I learned something about the invisible God. I fast many times 40 days. And so before you do that, for starving yourself to death. Well, see, you got to put stuff, when you get a house, you ain't able to pay for it, you got to put some collateral up. Well, you want God to do something, you prove him your word, you got to put yourself up. And you see, Paul passed. The whole disciple, once they got converted, they passed. And through fasting, God will see you serious about what you do. And you see, the Holy Spirit in our day is different than Moses' day. See, God is not going to come down because he's still on his throne. But his son died and went back and sat aside of him. Guess who's down here? The third person. We call it the Holy Ghost. I learned that after my first testimony in 1977. I dealing with ministry for years and prayed and all that kind of stuff. But in 1977, I was praying an intercessory prayer for a lady I loved and believed in. She had been sick so long, had so many issues that I went along. I thought she would be sick sometimes 3 or 4 days in a coma or something like that, put her to sleep. But this night, we was at the Pugh Hall church, but that night we Liz and all her group was down. So we was over there. So that Sunday night, we had so many people in the yard out there, they had to put her in a Marshall car. Went out there and she was laying on the seat. I said, actually, she said, go get Brother Artic to call me. They said, our brother want to see you. I go out there and she was laying on the seat. I said, something wrong with her. So I started to pray a little bit. I said, I believe this woman got a stroke. Well, you know where she's at. So she went home, and when she went home, a boy with tears kept, go see about our brother. Go see about our brother. So I said, well, I guess I won't have to. So I told Big and her family, you mind going early? So we went to her house. She was laying on the bed there. And as she was laying on the bed, she was asleep when I went in the room. So I don't know why. I don't know. Wasn't nothing tricky about me. It wasn't fake. I just had a feeling, a strong illusion of feeling that I need to pray for her. Big on the bed, and I was on the side. So I opened the book up to Isaiah 32nd, starting to read it like I know what I was doing. When I fell on my knees to pray, I put my hand on her. She grabbed me by the wrist and just rubbed my hand all up and down this arm. It was just rub it up and down just like like that. And I was sitting there and I heard a voice. It was more like a vision now, but then I don't know what it was. But when it come up, it seemed like it was voice unknown, like Spanish, voices or Chinese or foreign voices. They said the voice would be coming in that room down and dipping. Well, them voices come up in the room and I denied. I said, I'm not saying that. Still on my knee, brother. I ain't gonna say that. Something hit me like lightning. I said, hit me like lightning. Before it felt like a feeling, but when it hit me like lightning, it went plumb to every bone. I jumped up. Well, I'm scared. I felt to try to holler what I was going to do. That's what Baptists do. They holler. They holler when something goes wrong. So instead of me hollering, I began to speak in tongues. I said, what is this? Quicker than you're talking about, it feel like I was electrocuted. I said, but I don't know what it is. You see people, you see some of each other behave like that. Oh!
Brother Lambert and Rev James, what are the
That's
main...
what I experienced. I just said, what's this? You know what I'm saying? And a few days later, LT said, our brother want to see you. So I go to there, she well. She got well. Because of intercessory prayer. So I'm saying, that's why I've been in this thing strongly for over 40 years. because the power of God in Christianity is real. And for really anything, because he tells us wife and know whether the Spirit of God or not. Let you know the more the Spirit is out there. And not, you got to discern which one is right. John wrote said, know whether the Spirit of God or not, because one that confess Jesus Christ as Lord, that's the one of God. Because he let you know this ain't the only spirit out there that we have experienced, because all kinds. Because we don't want to talk about it, and many folks don't want to hear it because they don't believe it. But Revelation, the 12th chapter, said God unloaded heaven. How many, what happened? He unloaded heaven?
Man.
He took out 1/3 of heaven. Throw them out. Kicked them out. Why is they at today? Why do a person want to walk up in a drugstore and shoot people down like a dog? And why folks want to go up in a Walmart and shoot folks don't know them? Bomb people like they did up there after. How do they do that? What kind of spirit did they do that? That ain't the right people. Most folks feel guilty if they say something hard to you. Say something wrong to you, they can't sleep or can't rest, so they go back and apologize. What kind of mind is think you want to kill somebody? It can't be in your nature.
Right.
So most of us are ashamed of what we do. So we think about it a little bit, we're sorry we did. So it can't be just the man. It's not just the man, it's something else going on. And he told us in the book of Revelation 12, chapter, watch and beware, because they're coming down unto you, aiming because they know they ain't about short time to live. Now, they are the ones why we're having problems. Churches used to be great in our community. Used to help save people, convert folk, and change folk. But you know, they don't do that much now. All they were having much prayer meeting, no Bible, no nothing. Home bed, all folks just about to stay away from what the old tradition were in families. You know, so it's been, and you see the results of it now. Terrible. Without God, to me, you ain't got no world. Devil will destroy everything on this earth through people. And now and then they'll come along and raise up. And when they do, you know what the results are going to be.
So what are the main responsibilities of a good pastor to his congregation?
Main thing is you have to be honest with God, yourself. And mean what you say. Stick with the word of God, because there's power in his words, not our words, but in the words of God. Once you can convey the message of God's love to individuals in the church and let them respond, that's one of the key characteristics there. It's not about us, it's all about God. And that's where I kind of keep centered on it. No matter what goes on, I kind of keep the focus on God and how we got saved. As Pastor was just saying there, Christ died for us, and he went back to heaven where the Father is. But then he sent somebody back for us, as he promised he would. And it's so much a denying of the existence of the Holy Ghost. When you start talking about the Holy Ghost, a lot of people don't want to hear it. But he was sent back for us to be our comfort, our guide, whatever it is that we need. We got access to the Father through him. And without him, then hey, we just victims of Satan, because you only serve two. You can't serve both God and Satan. If you're not serving God, then you look out. Or Satan just waiting for an opportunity to knock at your door.
Well, here, like I see people that have been nodded or called for papers on in the music interest, whatever form it is. They have a terrible conviction, because they know God is dealing with them when they do stuff that is not good. They have aggravation and disturbance even until they die. You know, Elder Pettis is one of them. You know, another was Teresa, Franklin. They had a call. God gave it to them for a purpose, and they use it for themselves. They'll never feel comfortable. They have to always dope up, fill up, do some stuff that normally you don't do. Because they're wrestling. The Bible, because Paul wrote in the book of the Romans, I believe around the 7th or 8th chapter, which one, about the 7th chapter, that you're wrestling with your spirit and your flesh. Some folks do something, they say, every time I do it, I feel good, but to do it again. It's getting beat up, but they go back and do it again, like you're beating a child, don't know what you whooping me for. I get whooping when I do wrong. That's what make me don't want to do wrong.
Yeah.
Because my conviction don't allow me to do what anybody do. Because if you ain't been converted, you ain't going to obey God no way. And then the devil always recruiting people.
No,
He like good people. You don't see God, the devil recruiting no sorry saint. You don't see the devil recruiting no sorry dancer. He recruits the best there is. If you ain't doing much, you ain't getting recruited. And so that's why you get so many awful, good people can do these extra super things, because he recruits the best. You don't recruit anything, he recruits the best. Now God said, God open your hands and whoever will, let him come.
Right.
And then, but the devil said, whoever will, I got a better offer. You can make more money. But you got a lot of stuff you can do.
Right.
Some people don't like that. But I'm saying God revealed himself to some of us. And got a few people in the Bible that really never made mistakes, like a lot of folks. David had faults. King Solomon had faults. But we couldn't find many faults on Daniel. Couldn't find many faults on Joseph, and neither Job. But these other fellows that God called had faults. Mm-hmm. And God did the same thing a mother do. Forgive. Forgive. He told his disciples something that I have to do. To stay with weak people, or folk that have a lot of little things go wrong. He said 490 times. You just about have to do that to stay in some folks. If you don't do that, you can't stay with them. Because you did that 490 times, you need to forgive your children, forgive your wife, forgive your husband, forgive your neighbor, and some people in your church. If you don't forgive, you can't stand. Because you got to do it. But if you don't do it, you disappear by yourself.
Right.
You see, and that's what good pastors do. Good pastors can't let nothing stick to their brain. Just like Joel Osteen used the term a lot of times. He always say he's in progress. And he trying to tell us in a way, don't let nothing stay in your spirit. I mean, sometimes it may hurt you. It may wound you. That's why I fool with so many kind of folks that I deal with. They said, them kind of people, you ought to throw them for it is the evil in the west. But I said, since I done experienced things with folks, I can't do that because I'm not helping myself. I'm hurting myself because they may be not meaningful, but I got to treat them like they're somebody. I can't mistreat them because they ain't got money to buy food. I'm a little bit stupid sometimes, out in the play. They're so bad, folks don't want to have nothing to do with them. And we as ministers got to do what we must do. And he said, the poor would be with you always. I mean, you ain't going to have no rich folk all the time. And you ain't going to have intelligent folk not all the time. You ain't going to have no sensible folk all the time. You got to rich folk all the time. But folks sometimes worship you because they don't know about God.
Right.
Some folk come to you because you're the only God they do know. And you may be the last thing they can ever have. And they'll take you, abuse them, and fuss at them, and squabble at them, because that's what they want. For you to get on them, maybe help them.
So, gentlemen, I've taken up a lot of your time, and it's been an incredible learning experience. I wonder if you would like to kind of sum up. Well, here's a thought. If you were trying to give advice to a younger person today who is thinking about going into the ministry, what kind of advice would you give to them?
First, I tell them to study, especially after having received the Lord as Jesus, their personal Savior. Then the next thing he tells them to learn of Him, and that's a process that takes your entire life, and you have to really really fast and pray and get to know him, meditate in his word, and let him grow in the inside of you. Learn, first of all, to love and to forgive.
Right.
Those two things you got to have if you want to start into the ministry. You got to learn how to love, and you must learn how to forgive.
Just like this, Pastor James identified with women because his sister is a minister. I have cohorts of colleagues, whoever it is in my field. I'm considered a Baptist. I have some Baptist brothers that doesn't feel that women should minister because they usually would God don't call them. But I have a different opinion. I call from biblical scriptures, biblical knowledge, and from biblical experience, speaking the joy of a fact. Then you come on down and look at the book of the New Testament. When Paul would say something in the book of Corinthians, go back and read the Galatians, you see why it meant the way he got these people believing. When you go to Joel and you look at the other books, he states he pours his spirit out on all flesh. I asked my church a while ago, is there the he Holy Ghost and the she Holy Ghost? Since there ain't no he or she here, God don't have one Holy Ghost. Your body, woman, body, man, is intended to be to produce one another on this earth. But your spirit is God. God don't put no she spirit in and put no he spirit in. He just put his spirit in. Because he gives life and he breathes in. He said he breathed in a man's breath of life. But we don't know what he did with the woman exactly. Only what he did with the man. If you breathe breath of life in the man, what do you think he did to the woman? Now, we know he made the man out of dust, so the ground took a rib and made the woman. That's what the Bible states. But now, a lot of things God don't intend us to know.
Amen.
He said there's something above and beyond our finding out. He didn't intend us to know. Now, when I was born, did I know how I was born? When my mama raised me, and sometimes I go back to 4 years old, I don't remember nothing after that. I don't even remember nothing. But then when somebody sees me 4 or 5 years old, they might say I can sing good, everything. What happened to my memory after 4 years old, 5 years old? I don't remember nothing. I got to go back to that far. Now, some say they go back to 2 years old. I can't go back no more than about 5. I remember something that high, big. I believe God ordained us to take care of this earth and plenish it like it is done and support it. And his biggest key is for us to love, not color or race or how, let's say if you're rich or poor. He gives us the fact, I got a garden out there, got all kind of roses, all kind of tulips, all kind of fruit, all that is living off the same earth the other living off. He said, everything is eye, it's all head, it's all foot, it's all nose. He let us know we all got different speeches, different ideas, different thoughts. Now, I got daughters don't look exactly like me, but one do. The rest, they look like whoever. And so, now some folks got folks look exactly like them. Like the lambs is one of them. You see a lamb, you know it's a lamb. They don't look exactly like their mama because their mama real light. They look like their dad, even the light one. Then you know they're a lamb. Then you got some folk have different features, but then somehow let's stay around long. You go to watch how they walk, watch how they move, like Harvest school. Watch how they do. Then you say that's the characteristics right there. I feel God have give us this earth for us to government, and we allow the devil to take it over. And the church is given the responsibility for moral example. Because he told Jesus, I come that you may have life and abundance, but he said that I've come to what you do, to be your example, how you're supposed to do stuff. Then in the book of, I think the 2 Peter talked about last time we had the book chapter, he said, I come to be your example, and to be able to walk in my steps, if you want to know how to be right. And so that's what the Holy Ghost's job is, to teach us how to live the way God wants us to live. It's kind of impossible to preach without that Holy
Yes,
Ghost.
sir.
You can make you up something, create something, and be smart enough to fix something up. And in other
Won't
words,
work.
you can make a jump, but you know Romans 10 chapter said, I bear them record they have a zeal of God, but not according to
according
knowledge,
to knowledge.
but going about extending their own right,
Uh-huh.
not submitting themselves to the righteousness of God.
Amen.
And because of that, you see, you get so many guys. I think this is the way this ought to go.
Yeah.
No, I feel this. I'm gonna say this here. I think it's gonna fit. But you read the scriptures all down through the Old Testament, it says, according to the scripture.
Mm-hmm.
According to the scripture. So I stick with the Bible doctrine, proof, reference, and stuff. Some folks get their sermon out of what you write it in, but when I did that, I've been blessed to live 81 years. I've been sick, I had prostate, I didn't tell nobody. I had all kind of problems. I ain't told nobody, I don't tell them what I had. But I keep getting over it, over and over.
Well, Reverend James, Reverend Lamb, we have another group of folks who are coming in to be interviewed, but you know, thank you again so much for sitting for this interview. It was just incredibly educational and illuminating. We do have some paperwork for you to take a look at and sign if you won't mind. What we do with the interviews is that there will be copies of the interviews deposited here, but also at the University of Florida for students and researchers. And when we get back to Gainesville, it'll take us a month or so, but we'll be able to make copies of the interview. And as many
What
of the
you doing now? See, we had some years ago, they come down and made a film of the 1919 thing.
Okay.
They used my church Pilgrim Rest and they used us as the way it would be back if it happened. They had a few guys outdoors doing the same thing when the church was building up to this, what happened, you know.
Okay.
And they got that in the Delta culture somewhere. And somebody said they seen me in it. But they don't let me talk, they just got to post, you know, like you see. Well, I appreciate you for allowing me to say stuff, you know. I may not have been what you call exactly, but it was a testimony we make as a preacher that way we are.
Yes, sir.
And I feel like Brother James here is so copy what the Bible teaches to be. Some people, and you choose a good bunch to be together, him and myself. It's hard to agree 100% on something, but I do. I believe when in ministry that ain't what's good for Baptists. They don't want you to do that. So I feel God called a woman out to minister just like he do a man. And I feel when I read the scripture that way, it's kind of hard for us to believe because traditionally we don't believe it like we won't accept it that way. Especially Baptist people. And some more churches do, but I know the Church of God, Christ, they allow women's privileges. And you got the Pentecostals, you got the Presbyterians, you got the Methodists. Some of these people allow the ladies to exercise of guilt without too much all this stuff we bring it up to make it bad. Because if a woman can bone a baby, 9 months, don't care what kind of shape he is, she bring him here and keep him here. Even a young woman, 15, 16 years old, my wife 14 years and 10 months old, my first daughter. You keep him here and feed him and take care of him and wrestle with him and worry with him. And then she has the right to be the priest over that baby to teach him rights and wrongs, values. And then go to the heartaches and pain of 18, 20 years to get them to where they can be responsible. If she got sent over to do that, I thought she ain't got sent over to teach him.
Right.
Huh? She don't have sent over to teach what she born. Teach, and these women over here born one, and that know they're born one, and a lot of them born them just to favor somebody to have to look fair, leave her with a bag. What about that? And she keeps it. I'm one of them. My mama kept me. She was only 17 years old with no husband, and I don't even know my dad. What women do to make church go? Make children go to choir practice, Bible class, be in different forms. She makes sure they're there. There it is, the amen. And she produce what it is. Many men may not go churchified nowadays. But I say a lot of men now with their children, toting them, carrying to the stove, with the little girls and little boys. And the mama's not there, but they doing it. And I used to see guys He walks out, the woman, she's holding a baby. He bigger than she. Stuff like that. I'm saying, yes, ministers need to be very visible. We got many of them on TV and all that kind of stuff, so commonplace, nobody cares about it much. But I feel I have a handful, he have a handful. But I believe our ministry is good. And not only good, you live up to what he said. That's what makes it good. Live up to what you say.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Olson, you know, she come in here and she's been doing a great job of helping us understand ourselves and what role it is we have been burdened with for years, that not to be angry, bitter, and hateful and resentful. That's the thing about religion, it takes that out of you and try to make the best person you're born to be. And that was the Holy Ghost coming, to restore us in the relationship Adam and Eve had when they were on the earth, to put that nature back in us that we lost. And so I know if you got the Holy Ghost, you ain't going to do something wrong and get away with it. And that would call me to be in church over 61 years. Conversion.
Amen.
Changed me from who I was to where I am.
Sorry that.
Yeah,
Gentlemen,
it
I have,
changed.
these are the release forms, and if you want to just look over those, these are how to get in contact with us.
Okay.
And if you wouldn't mind just taking some time, and if you have any questions about this, let me know. We need you to sign that, though, for us to be able to process the